Hey everyone, I am an extremely frozen Scott Stokely, and this is going to be the definitive video on what is the correct sidearm grip in disc golf. Now, also included in this video will be the biggest mistake players make with their sidearm grip, and at the end, I'm even going to address a workaround for those players that have limited mobility in their wrist. There's actually something you can do with your grip that may give you a sidearm when you didn't previously had one. For starters, just like with every grip, there is no such thing as one correct sidearm grip. Okay, the grip on every aspect of this game will always be individual because our hands are all different. So you cannot be told what the correct grip is, nor can you mimic another player's grip. Instead, you have to find the grip that works for you. Your hand determines your grip, not you. So, when it comes to grip, you're trying to accomplish three things. Number one, you want a strong grip. Number two, you want a clean release, meaning as little wobble as possible. And number three, you want a consistent release, meaning the disc comes out the same every time. So for sidearm grip, starting with strong, all things being equal, two fingers are stronger than one. As you're accelerating the disc forward on your sidearm, one finger does not offer as much resistance as two when pushing the disc forward. So that could mean index finger on the rim, middle finger above it. It could mean middle finger on the rim, index finger above that. It could mean middle finger on the rim, index finger bent. All of these are two-finger grips. Obviously, this is a one-finger grip. Less obvious, this is also a one-finger grip. This finger here is not being used to throw the disc. Less obvious, though, is this is also a one-finger grip. If this finger here is not touching this finger here, this finger's not being used. Get the fingers up together. Now, I said all things being equal, two fingers are stronger than one. That is true. However, if you have tried every variation of a two-finger grip, and yet you get a more clean and consistent release when you throw with one finger, absolutely throw with one finger. I have worked not with several, but with many players where I've watched them try to force the second finger onto the disc. It shifts the disc into a weird position in their hand. They don't get a clean, consistent release. Again, your hand determines your grip, not you. So start by trying to throw with two fingers, but if you need to switch to one, you can have a great sidearm with one finger if that's the grip your hand has given you. Now, as far as where the disc rests in your hand, there's two places it needs to sit. It either needs to sit all the way back, tucked in as far as it can between the index finger and thumb, or it needs to be out away from that spot with the underside rim of the disc hooked on this knuckle right here. Basically, the disc needs to be in the exact same spot every time to get a consistent release. If the disc is just flopping around out here as you're trying to throw the shot, you're not going to get a consistent release. The two areas you can replicate are all the way in or on this nub, but your choice. Now, as far as the thumb, I'm not flexible on the thumb. The thumb does not sit up here in the middle of the disc. The thumb needs to be forward so it's pinching these fingers. Now, don't get hung up on what finger, what knuckle. Remember, every grip's going to be different, and we have different hands. Therefore, it is impossible to say exactly where the thumb goes. Just know that the thumb pinches the fingers. Now, probably the biggest mistake players make with their sidearm grip, and it's almost never taught, the pads of your fingers, the fingerprints of your fingers do not primarily touch the bottom or the flight plate of the disc. If your fingerprints are primarily touching the flight plate or the bottom of the disc, that means the only way you can throw is with your palm up which means you're serving the pizza. Link below to my video. Do not throw your sidearm palm up. Do not serve the pizza. This is not how the sidearm is thrown. If your fingerprints are here, that's the only way you can throw. So think about it like this. If you took the disc out of your hand and you swung your hand in the motion it's going to go on your sidearm throw, your fingerprints are pointing that way. They're not pointing this way. So if you were to put your hand in whatever position your grip would be in, and then you set the disc on top, well, if you lifted the disc up, these fingers are pressing against the rim of the disc, not the bottom of the disc. Now, I promised you all a workaround if you lack mobility in your wrist. When you throw the sidearm, it's important to use this motion right here with your wrist to generate spin, but it is not uncommon for players due to injury or more often due to age. Age and injury is the worst, but they don't have the mobility to rotate their wrist back. Well, the workaround to this with grip is that in those cases, you may find better results intentionally throwing with just your index finger. Here's why. When you have two fingers on the disc, if you have wrist mobility, the wrist will move all the way back, right? That's great. But if your wrist will not rotate back, the farthest the disc will go back with two fingers is about there. Now, without moving the wrist at all, simply by taking the middle finger off, I can now move the disc all the way back there. So the small amount of strength you lose by taking the middle finger off can be more than made up for by the added range of motion. So it's not a solve for everybody, but if you lack wrist mobility, give the index finger a try and you may find that it's a game changer. Thanks everyone. Demonstrations were all done with the Cardinal from Stokely Discs.